Hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. The Puppeteer's Legacy. In a dimly lit attic of an ancient mansion, Ethan, a struggling puppeteer, inherited a collection of antique puppets from his estranged great-uncle, a renowned puppeteer in his time. The inheritance came as a surprise. A cryptic letter accompanying the puppet collection hinted at a legacy of untold stories waiting to be unraveled. Ethan, fueled by desperation and curiosity, set up a makeshift puppet theater in the corner of his cramped apartment. The puppets, adorned in intricate costumes, seemed frozen in time, their glassy eyes staring blankly into the void. As Ethan began to manipulate the strings, the puppets came to life in a mesmerizing dance of forgotten tales. Initially, the shows were innocent, charming performances that captivated the few who happened to witness them. However, as the weeks passed, Ethan noticed an unsettling pattern. The puppets began to take on a life of their own, moving in ways he hadn't directed. Their stories turned darker, more sinister, with plots that seemed to echo ancient tragedies. One puppet, in particular, stood out, a marionette named Malachi, whose cold, unblinking eyes seemed to pierce through Ethan's soul. Malachi became the puppet master, orchestrating the other puppets into a sinister dance of shadows. Ethan, caught in the web of his great-uncle's legacy, felt an ominous presence whenever Malachi took center stage. Night after night, the puppets' performances became increasingly malevolent. Ethan, unable to control the marionettes, watched in horror as they enacted scenes of death and despair. The once charming puppet theater became a theater of nightmares, with each show plunging Ethan deeper into a world where reality and fantasy blurred. Haunted by the chilling realization that the puppets were not mere inanimate objects, Ethan sought answers in his great-uncle's journal, hidden among the heirlooms. The journal revealed a dark secret: the puppets were crafted from the wood of an ancient tree rumored to be cursed, its timber soaked in the blood of a tormented soul. Desperation and fear gripped Ethan as he realized that the puppets craved more than just an audience. They hungered for the essence of the living. Malachi, the puppet master, whispered promises of power and immortality, tempting Ethan to sacrifice others for the puppet's insatiable thirst. As the line between puppeteer and puppet blurred, Ethan faced a choice: succumb to the macabre legacy his great-uncle had left him, or find a way to sever the strings that bound him to the malevolent puppets. The ancient mansion echoed with the haunting laughter of unseen forces, and the legacy of the puppeteer's dark secret continued to unravel, one string at a time. Determined to break free from the puppeteer's curse, Ethan delved deeper into the history of the cursed tree and the dark rituals that had infused the puppets with a life of their own. He discovered a ritual, buried in the cryptic passages of his great-uncle's journal, that could potentially sever the puppet's connection to the malevolent forces. The ritual demanded a sacrifice not of life, but of memories. Ethan hesitated, torn between the twisted power the puppets offered and the moral cost of sacrificing his own recollections. The puppets sensed his internal struggle, and Malachi's icy gaze seemed to intensify, urging him to embrace the darkness. Haunted by nightmares and the ominous whispers of the puppets, Ethan reached a breaking point. In a desperate bid to save himself, he gathered the courage to perform the ritual. The atmosphere in the attic shifted, an otherworldly energy pulsating through the air as he chanted the incantation. As memories flowed out of him like a river, the puppets convulsed, their movements growing erratic. Shadows danced across the walls, and Ethan felt a profound sense of loss as his past slipped away. The sacrifice, however, was not without consequence. The puppets, now devoid of their malevolent energy, lay motionless on the stage. Ethan, weakened and disoriented, stumbled out of the attic, leaving the cursed legacy behind. The once ominous puppets now appeared lifeless, their glassy eyes reflecting nothing but the emptiness of the room. The mansion itself seemed to exhale a sigh of relief, as if liberated from a centuries-old curse. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan tried to rebuild his life without the weight of the puppeteer's legacy hanging over him. Yet the echoes of the sinister puppet shows lingered in the recesses of his mind. He struggled to piece together the fragments of his erased memories, haunted by a vague sense of loss and the chilling spectre of what could have been. One evening, as Ethan walked past a dusty antique store, he caught a glimpse of a familiar marionette in the display window. Malachi. The puppet's cold, unblinking eyes seemed to pierce through the glass, a silent reminder of the legacy he had escaped. The puppets, though now lifeless, retained a lingering presence, a chilling testament to the thin line between the puppeteer and the puppet. As Ethan hurried away from the antique store, he couldn't shake the feeling that, somewhere in the shadows, the legacy of the puppeteer's curse continued to cast its dark influence, waiting for a new puppeteer to awaken the dormant malevolence within. The legacy lived on, a macabre tale whispered in the creaking corridors of forgotten mansions, waiting to ensnare the next unsuspecting soul. Weeks turned into months, and Ethan tried to distance himself from the haunting memories of the puppeteer's legacy. He immersed himself in mundane routines, attempting to rebuild a semblance of a normal life. Yet a gnawing emptiness persisted, a consequence of the memories sacrificed in the attic, leaving him with a void that refused to be filled. One evening, a mysterious invitation arrived at Ethan's doorstep. The envelope bore the emblem of a puppeteer's mask, and inside a single line beckoned him, the legacy endures, and the puppets await their master. It was an invitation to an enigmatic gathering in the heart of the city, where shadows clung to forgotten corners and secrets whispered in the wind. Intrigued and apprehensive, Ethan couldn't resist the call of the puppeteer's legacy. The venue, an ancient theatre with faded velvet curtains and a lingering scent of age, evoked a sense of nostalgia and unease. As he stepped into the dimly lit auditorium, a shiver ran down his spine. The seats were occupied by shadowy figures, their faces obscured by masks reminiscent of the puppeteer's emblem. At the center of the stage stood a familiar figure, Malachite, the puppet master. The marionette's eyes seemed to glow with an eerie light, as if infused with the memories Ethan had sacrificed. A hushed murmur swept through the audience as Ethan took a seat. The puppeteer's legacy, it seemed, had not released its grip on him. Malachi, now animated by an unseen force, began to manipulate the other puppets in a mesmerizing dance. The puppets echoed tales from Ethan's erased memories, revealing fragments of a past he had willingly forgotten. As the puppet show unfolded, the audience became transfixed, their masked faces betraying no emotion. Ethan, caught in the unsettling familiarity of the performance, felt the weight of his lost memories pressing down on him. The puppets seemed to be conduits to a realm where forgotten stories merged with the present, a haunting fusion of past and present. As the final act approached, Malachi's movements became more erratic, and the puppeteer's legacy manifested itself in a spectral display of ethereal energy. The masked audience remained silent, their intent veiled in mystery. The atmosphere crackled with a potent force, and Ethan realized he was at the center of a ritual, a continuation of the puppeteer's dark legacy. In a moment of clarity, Ethan understood that the only way to break free from the puppeteer's curse was to confront the shadows of his past head-on. With newfound determination, he rose from his seat, breaking the puppeteer's spell. The masked figures turned to him, their silent gaze conveying a mix of curiosity and anticipation. Ignoring the puppeteer's legacy, Ethan approached the stage. The puppets, now still, seemed to await his command. With a deep breath, he reached out to Malachi, severing the puppet's strings. The marionette crumbled into a pile of lifeless wood, and a surge of energy coursed through the auditorium. The masked figures, their faces now visible, revealed expressions of release and gratitude. They were souls tethered to the puppeteer's legacy, seeking closure through Ethan's confrontation with the past. The atmosphere shifted, and the theater seemed to absorb the lingering darkness. As the last echoes of the puppeteer's curse faded away, the mysterious gathering dispersed, leaving Ethan alone on the now empty stage. The puppeteer's legacy, though not erased, had found a resolution. As he exited the theater into the cool night, Ethan felt a weight lifted from his shoulders. The shadows that had haunted him retreated, and he walked away free from the puppeteer's curse that had once bound him to a legacy of forgotten stories and malevolent puppets. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.